When do we deploy troops to Australia? When do we invade Australia and free and oppressed people who are suffering under a totalitarian regime? When do we spend trillions of dollars to spread democracy in Australia? Australia currently, make no mistake, is a tyrannical police state. Its citizens are quite literally being imprisoned against their will. So when do we deploy?
That was a very serious comment from Candace Owens. You know it's serious because they wrote "make no mistake" in the teleprompter. She's talking about how Australia, in a bid to not have their people die needlessly from COVID, have had very limited lockdowns. Actually less than we have, but it's enough to infuriate the right. And so she's joking, but you'll see later that she really does seem to think we're on the verge of some sort of war about invading Australia. Brett, what do you think?
I want to see the rest of it, because when you say like, why don't they have this like permanent, like, I'm not quite sure because I haven't gotten to that part in the teleprompter where I actually say what my rhetorical angle completely is. So I'm going to give myself some extra time by having that default. Maybe this is sarcastic, but my audience is so stupid that this is actually how they do speak to the manager voice. It's at all times trying to imply that we're all smarter than everyone, so we're talking slower so that they get what we're saying. But also, yeah, they just want to seem smarter and superior to folks.
100%. And look, she's now saying, we'll jump ahead to her tweet. I apologize, we're running out of time. She says, I said in jest, it was just in jest. Why the rush to lie about me? Because I told the truth or the true, depending on what platform you're on. Except that with the right, it's always, see, for most people, a joke exists in your mind. You intend to tell a joke, so you tell it. For them, they say things and then decide whether it was a joke or serious based on the reaction. And I don't know a lot about what she believes about the tyrannical Australian government, but I do know that she tweeted back on October 7th, looking into what is happening in Australia, and I can now confidently say that World War III is upon us. We are in the midst of a global psychological warfare. Under the guise of COVID-19, governments worldwide have declared war on their people for full totalitarian control. Okay, so maybe that too is a joke. It doesn't read like one. And so with that being a couple weeks away, the comment she just made, she's now saying that's a joke. Maybe it was. I doubt she actually wants to invade them, but she's talking about how it's going to be a war that encompasses the entirety of the earth. So does she even know if it's a joke anymore? I know that she's got the teleprompter and she's trying to be very serious and she's doing her performative thing and everything, but I don't think that she really knows or cares about any of this. She's not invested enough to actually be joking or actually making a real point. She is literally just saying things.
Also, like, there's an answer to your rhetorical question. She's talking about how the Taliban's worse than the Australian government, or is it? Because the Australian government is locking people down. My response is the Taliban's worse. They're killing women because they're women and they want to learn facts. You want to kill people by misrepresenting facts. And the Australian government has done a very good job of keeping infections low by doing all the things that you say they shouldn't. And you can't let that be the case. So you have to call them out for tyranny when if you go ask an Australian, they're like, no, fine with it. Good, nice. Good on ya. We're just gonna stay in and figure it out ourselves. Thank you, bye.
Yep, and they have had far, far, far less deaths. 1,500 deaths, 130,000 cases. They are a much smaller population, but even for controlling for that, they're doing much, much better because they actually gave a minimum of a damn.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.